Howdy partners and welcome back to another episode of Father and Sundays, the unexplainable guide to absolutely nothing. This week we're in episode 88, Two Fat Ladies, and we are talking about the Wild West.
Yeehaw.
Stick around if you want to do more. Hello.
Howdy.
Oh, sorry. Howdy.
How you doing?
I'm not bad, thank you very much for asking. How are you?
I'm not too bad, really, considering all
Considering
things.
what?
Being old.
Oh, right.
Work.
You are old, you're not wrong with that.
I am old, yes. Yeah. I am a lot older than you.
30 years.
Sorry?
30 years.
30 years, yeah, I know. It's unbelievable, isn't it? We don't look
That's
30 years.
3
People
times,
think we're brothers.
That's 3 times 10. I've got an A-level in maths. They don't think we're brothers.
They do.
No, they don't. I've never heard that in my life.
I've heard it all the time. It's quite
Who?
embarrassing.
Who
I
said
don't know
it?
if that's because you look so rough.
Who said it?
People.
Name 5 of them.
Some of my posse.
What posse?
You know, my posse.
Are you saying posse because that's a Wild West type word?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Anyway, what's been happening with you then?
I got a haircut.
Oh, nice haircut, by the way.
Thanks, nice haircut.
Let's hope they are, because we're having it done tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll get it done tomorrow. But when this podcast comes out, it would have been
it gets
done.
so confusing now.
Yeah,
this,
time
doesn't
travel, isn't it?
It is. But yes, no, nice. I'm surprised you went with a mohawk.
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to get it fully shaved off.
Yeah.
But she slipped and I accidentally got a mohawk.
No, it looks all right, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with my perm.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not quite as loose as I'd like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, but, you know, hopefully it'll grow out quite quickly. Right.
What have you been up to since the last time we recorded a podcast?
Connor, there was a very exciting event last week, 2 weeks ago. No, whenever it was, I don't know.
No, it's just last week.
Right? Just last
that
week,
would do.
because we went with a friend of the show, Sam, to try on suits.
Friend or acquaintance?
Oh, friend. I think he's a friend. To try on suits, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Different, but we did wetsuits.
Yep.
Dry suits.
Get birthday suits. No, so actually, I didn't actually say it was wedding suits, did
Yeah.
I? But we went to try on wedding suits. There were 7 of us. But it was good fun, you know.
It was a laugh.
It was a good laugh, and it was nice to see people.
It was good to meet the other groomsmen.
It was good to meet the other groomsmen because I've met
You're not a
a
groomsman.
couple of them. Yeah, but I am the father of the bride.
Oh,
but
nice to meet you. I'm the brother of the bride and the groomsman.
They are groomsmen, and I met the groomsman. I don't have to be a groomsman to meet. I could meet the king. That doesn't mean I'm the king as well, does it? Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, we tried on suits. We tried on some rather daring ones, and came up with. Well, Sam came up with his favourite, and we're going with that. So that'll be exciting.
Yes.
Hopefully, I won't change too much size-wise. I seem to be increasing in size at the moment.
I'm just struggling to because the LED light strips that light up on the pinstripes.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting
What with
choice.
congratulations?
Yeah, and the things that set off at the back like flares.
Well, I've got rhinestones on mine and some sparklers. So look, when I walk down the aisle with Becky, hopefully it will look like some sort of pyrotechnic spectacular.
I did ask specifically for my sleeves on my suit to be so I could rip them off.
Yeah.
So Velcro at the top, so that when it comes to the partying later on, I could just rip them off and go, "Let's party!"
Well, it's funny you should say that. I've got the same with my trousers from the knee down, because you know I don't like wearing trousers.
I've got the same with my trousers, but from the knee up.
Yeah.
So I keep the bottom bits on, but I take off the top half.
Nice. Like a pair of chaps of some sort. I tell you what, though, I did look. I don't want to go on this too much, but I did look in the mirror when I got there. And I know we've got really lovely haircuts now, but before I had this tight perm, my hair had got quite long for me, and I'd been at work all day. I'd had a cap on, so it messes my hair up and it was sticking up everywhere. I hadn't had a shave. I've got a beard anyway, but I hadn't had a proper shave. And I looked in the mirror when I put the suit on, and I looked like someone who was like homeless that had gone into
This is
Oxfam.
exactly what I was going to say. It looks like you're a homeless man that someone from a church gave a suit to.
So they
for
could
no
go for a
job
apparent
interview.
reason. And I looked so confused when I was looking in the mirror, and I thought, God, I kept saying to everybody, God, I look terrible.
I look the same.
So I didn't get the really. But you can get away with it being my younger brother.
I did have the smallest suit. It turns out
It did, yes. They didn't even have your suit in there, did they?
That's
to go to the
smallest suit, by
junior
the way,
section to
on,
get your suit.
on chest size.
Yes, which I was surprised at.
Yeah, but you've got moobs.
No, I haven't. Well, I may have at the moment, but by the time I'll be ripped by the time I get there. But no, most of us were all roughly the same size. You were the only one that were in the 30s rather than 40s.
Right, now, hang on. So sorry. When you say, you make it sound like it was so different though, because I was 38 and what were you, 40?
42.
You're
No.
42. Well, okay, but
I think he got me a 40. I mean, yeah.
some of the guys were 40 and I was 38,
Yeah.
and they go up in twos.
Yeah.
It's only one size down.
I know, but it's like anything. It's like doing a marathon and finishing it in 3 hours 59 and 50.
All right, so that's under 4 hours. So that's
Yeah.
better.
Maybe.
Yep. Cool. So I had the better one.
Okay, no, it's fair enough. But that was really good, and really exciting. We went out for a meal afterwards, and that was quite fun just to have a chat with people and that. So yeah, exciting times to come this year. Other than that, what else did we do?
We ate at a place, and you got a really sad-looking burger.
Oh right, yeah. I ordered a burger. We went to Turtle Bay. I think we went to Turtle Bay and they had burgers. And I don't like things with all the okey cokey in it. I'd rather have relatively plain. I don't like salad.
Just to
not a
clarify
girl.
the story, the food is nice.
Yeah,
The food was really nice.
When the waitress came up, I said, "Sorry, I was a little bit embarrassed. Could I have this burger but without all the okey cokey in it, please?" And she said, "Yeah, that's absolutely fine. We can do that for you."
What you did is you pointed at this section with like nothing in it, like none
Nothing
of this
in
section,
it.
and you pointed to the section that
And
listed
she
like
said
all our
that,
burgers
and I
come
thought,
with this.
brilliant. And then I was wondering why other people were ordering extra fries. And then mine turned up, and I realised you had to order the fries separately.
Yeah, and also, even if it came with
little
fries,
bit
you pointed
sad.
at the section that would have said, "All our burgers come with fries." So,
But it didn't say that, though.
no, it didn't. But yours, yeah, you just had this bun, burger on it. You basically had a bacon cheeseburger that we make at home, but it just
it was a lot
looked
nicer than
on
ones I
a bigger
make.
plate. Yeah,
No, it was nicer
Yeah,
meat.
okay, it was nicer, but on a bigger plate with just a pot of sauce.
Well, it wasn't about the food; it was about the company. For God's sake,
The chips
But you
were
let
really
me have.
good.
Some, yeah, I know you let me have some of your chips.
I felt bad for you, so I gave you some
Yeah,
chips.
so you should have. Yeah.
And then I was hungry.
Yes. So I won't be making that mistake again. I shall order. Mind you, we've done this though. You've got to remember, at the other end of the scale, we went camping once, and I went to get burger and chips for both of us, and I ended up ordering. And when we got back, we opened the burger box, and it had chips in that. So we had double chips and burger.
So you had burger and chips,
And
burger and
chips.
chips, and chips.
Yeah. Anyway, we put up some shelves in your room, didn't we? Some
Yeah.
pictures, yeah, and they're
Put
all
some
still up.
pictures up
I'm
on the
quite
wall.
pleased. I'm a little bit upset that not only have you put one thing up on that shelf, that particular shelf that I'm looking at now, but you've now put up two more things.
It's a box of Heroes and a pack of digestive biscuits.
I know, but they still weigh something, don't they?
Right.
They're not weightless.
And only one picture fell down. So
Yeah, and
that's
that
going
wasn't
well
my
so
fault
far.
though. That was just of something to do with the
Gravity.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway.
Anything else you want to cover? We're a little way in already, but
No, thank you, Sheriff.
okay then, Deputy.
No.
Right. Well, there's nothing higher than the sheriff.
No, I'm not saying I'm just like an outlaw.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the
something.
sheriff, and I'm the one that shot the sheriff.
Did you shoot the deputy?
I shot the sheriff.
But did you shoot the deputy?
Yes, first
Okay.
of all.
Right, anyway. Connor, the Wild West. So, it's a sort of...
I thought you called me sir then.
Yeah, sir. What I'm guessing when I started thinking about this and talking to you about doing this as a subject matter, there's a romantic sort of thrilling idea of what the Wild West was, pretty much because of the films and TV shows and such like. And interestingly, I spoke to you. There is actually a computer game. I imagine there are a number.
Sorry.
Is it why I said computer game?
The nicest possible. Yeah, you sounded incredibly old.
I am incredibly old. We've had to say this.
Computer games?
One of your computer games?
The computer games. The one where you do the clicky thing on the...
Right. Anyway,
the thingy
this is not all about you ridiculing me. So there is one in particular that's been released, or there's been a couple of versions of it, as there, like episodes of it.
Yes.
Yes. And what is it called?
Red Dead Redemption.
So from the point of view of that, I mean, that I'm not sure. I mean, they do make westerns now, but they're not the most popular genre. They used to be. They used to be huge. That some of the films that, for instance, Clint Eastwood was in were like massive films. But that's brought westerns to, or that sort of environment, to a different audience. So what do you actually do in those games? What is the purpose of those computer games?
Oh, okay. I didn't realise that I was going to be explaining.
But I just want to see the premise of it. What does it... Because it looks... The graphics on it, I have seen it, and it looks really quite good.
Much like the GTA games, it's actually by the same company. You just play
Rockstar.
you just play as the protagonist, and you are... and like an outlaw type person, where they kind of don't fully follow the law, and they're kind of travelling around within their posse. And
second time the word posse has been used on this podcast.
Well, it's been used a few times because you said it multiple times at the beginning.
Yeah.
So you're an outlaw, and you're kind of working around, and you go to a town, and then you cause trouble in that town, so you have to move to a different town. And you're also trying to like sort out these problems, and some of the other group are turning against you, and then you get tuberculosis and stuff like that.
Ah, right. Okay. So it kind of we'll come on to tuberculosis.
And there's a ranch at the end.
Oh, right. So your goal
Spoilers.
really is to settle.
Well, no, because the ranch at the end of the story,
yes.
and this is spoilers, by the way, if you've not played Red Dead Redemption 2, the protagonist dies, gets tuberculosis and dies.
No way.
And then you play as a different character as he's trying to start his new life on a ranch, and then he buys his own ranch, and then that's where Red Dead Redemption comes in, because it's actually Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry I put you on the spot there, but I just wanted to get a flavour of what that was all about.
There's lots of horses, and they even modelled the horses' willies in it.
Did they?
They did.
What did they? Who did they model them on?
Horses.
Right.
But that's that's what's baffled me. That's someone's job.
Yeah.
Someone's
what
job
did you
was
do?
to
I've spent 3 months. Yeah.
Studying horse willies, and then making them in a 3D model render to then go into a AAA video game.
Surely there's a police section that looks at that sort of thing and goes after people.
No.
You know? Anyway, so that's from a computer game point of view. Now, the westerns. Now, I mean, I don't know how many of these. Some of these you would have heard of. Some of them you wouldn't. The Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
I always think of westerns, and I think of the famous person who did all the westerns that Nanny Joyce liked, but I always want to call him John West, but that's the tuner.
John Wayne, you're talking about.
That's it, John Wayne.
Did NJ like John Wayne?
Yeah, I've got a picture taken with him.
Really?
Yeah, at Man Two Swords.
Oh, right, yeah, I was going to say. Okay. Right. Well, no. See, through the ages, I mean, Hollywood have made a lot of films. I mean, there was a period where they called them spaghetti westerns, but The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, A Fistful of Dollars, and A Few Dollars More were a series of films with Clint Eastwood in it. Now, Clint Eastwood didn't even speak in them, or hardly at all. Did he say anything for him? He was this stranger that came into town and blah blah blah. And it seems to be that sort of premise on, and each one's of these, they've done High Noon, but they've made it like they do with these films. They make it quite romantic. You've got the good and the evil. You've got even to the point where you'd have the white
the good and the
Stetsons.
evil.
They'd have white Stetsons and then they'd have black Stetsons, and the good and evil throughout films anyway, and through TV and that's the whole. People
the way
love
I
that.
often see the good and the evil stuff, though, is I often see the good as the outlaws and the evil as the sheriff.
Well, it depends, because if it's a crooked sheriff, then you quite often see that in there. So you can have the hero that's got a bit of an edge to them. They're not quite straight.
That's what the video games do as well. Is whenever you have got to do something about like a sheriff, like you're doing something against someone of power, like against someone.
Yeah,
they're almost more evil than you. So your evil isn't as bad as their
there's
evil.
levels of evilness.
And I wouldn't say Arthur in it is evil, although he does
What's his
break
name?
the law. Arthur.
Oh, right.
Arthur.
That
That's
seems like a
because-
weird name for a cowboy.
Because the other person is called Dutch. And
Ah,
there's another one called John,
right, okay.
and there's a number of others.
Well,
And there's
Clint
some Native
Eastwood's
Americans
Clint
in there
Eastwood's
as well.
character in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and the other couple, I believe, is the man with no name. Oh, someone's just flushed the toilet in the house, and the whole house is vibrating. Got a bit of a plumbing problem at the moment.
It's a weird place for you to bring that up.
I know, but I can hear it, that's all. But there's been more recent westerns going on. That True Grit was remade. The Magnificent Seven was remade. We talked
I
about
used to
that.
play
That
the
was
music
based
to
on
that.
what, Magnificent Seven?
Yeah.
But that was based on the Seven Samurai, I believe. You had High Chaparral, Bonanza, which were TV shows when I was younger. The Lone Ranger, that was a kids program, but
They remade that.
yeah, they made that.
Do you
in the film.
remember? Do you remember Back to the Future 3?
Well, I was going to come to that.
All right, sorry.
Back to the Future 3.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking about that actually.
Blazing Saddles. Have you ever seen Blazing Saddles?
No.
It's got an absolutely incredible. It's a comedy.
Is it a prequel to Herbie?
No.
Oh,
There's no cars in it. But, and to finish off in this particular area of it, there's a lot of filmmakers
they used
now
to
as
make
well.
a lot of Herbie films, didn't they?
Yeah. Herbie Goes Bananas.
It's a bit like, they've got the
Herbie
dogs one. They've
Shops
got
for
like a
Shoes.
load of Labradors puppies, and it's the Buddies films.
What?
Do you know the one I mean? The Disney one, the Buddies ones.
No? What are you talking
No.
about, the buddies
They do like
ones?
Snow Buddies and Santa Buddies and whatever.
I think you've made that
I've never
up.
seen it, but
No,
anyway,
I don't
carry
think
on.
anybody's ever seen it. Right.
Wild
so,
West.
but just as I say, just to finish off this, the genre, the feel of it, and we've talked about this recently. Loads of other directors, producers take that sort of, that sort of style, and they make it something else. And we've said about, Gene Roddenberry when he created Star Trek, he wanted that to be, it's almost like a Western in space, And if you think about some of the episodes, it is a bit like that.
It's a bit like
one of the ones, Mandalorian,
Mandalorian.
and we've talked about that. Now, the Mandalorian is more like that than
and
anything.
Book of Boba Fett as well, I feel.
Yeah, because you've got the Mandalorian who doesn't hardly say anything, who is a loner that appears in these towns, and even
a bounty hunter.
these science fiction alien towns and that, they're always a bit dusty, a bit basic. You've got just the settlements of people, and it really does lend itself to or go back to that sort of style. Definitely that.
Yeah, I feel like within the Star Wars franchise, it's always been Tatooine is a little bit of a where it's in the outer rim, and without law, it was almost like the Wild West. It's always been like that.
So without actually making that many new westerns or just rolling out one film after the other, that style was being used for a whole lot of other genres.
Yes.
I know a bit of Spanish and how to play guitar. I can run a long distance and drive a manual car. I'm a husband, a father, and a granddad too. There really isn't much I cannot do. But I can't find my glasses. Where the hell are my glasses? I'm sure I put them down somewhere here. They're not on my head or by the side of the bed. They're gone forever, I fear.
My glasses were found in both bathrooms, in the bread bin, on top of the fridge, and in the loft. Okay, so we've talked about Hollywood's version. Hollywood. I don't know why I said it like that. Of the Wild West, right?
Harding.
But are you aware of what the Wild West was really like?
Well, I've got some things that I believe it to be, like from, I'll be honest, not research or anything like that, but just from what I've gathered over time. And wasn't it of a, wasn't the actual period of something like a great, it wasn't during the Great Depression, was it? But it was a period of a massive recession and a real slump in the economy.
Well, I think people were moving into areas to try and start a new life. There's an awful lot of settlers. So people have been landing on the shores of America, North America, for many, many years. And really, it's pretty much started from the first settlers in that particular country all the way through.
But from what I understand, it wasn't a massively because when we talk about the Western kind of Wild West kind of era, that does branch quite a massive time period.
It is a huge time period.
So there was periods where there was the country was as one, but there was still a really poor economy, and like you said, it was just people, even if they were in an area, they'd go to settle somewhere else to like escape some trouble or do this kind of thing. There was a lot of people moving around, and
because there was a lot of space. I mean, and we'll cover this in another one. I would like to do a podcast about Native Americans because it's absolutely fascinating. But obviously, there were various different tribes of Native Americans, and yes, the Mexicans were coming from one direction. You had a lot of Europeans coming into the country, but then people that have established themselves and generations, they were moving out. They were trying to find their fortune. There was obviously a gold rush as well. There was lots of things going on, and people felt like they could go to these, move out to these places, but they were very, very grim places, really. Very difficult.
Do you feel like, with like Westerns and how they were created, do you feel like they were to a certain extent almost created because there was still, and I'm going to use the phrase that was generally used back then, but cowboys and Indians. Yeah. So you used to have stuff like cowboys and Indians, and with the Indians almost seen as the villain in the story. Yeah. And it was almost just propaganda towards the fact that we've done the right thing, we've colonised, we've got rid of these savages.
Savages, yeah.
And I'm saying that in the term of
I know
how
you're talking about that in the term of how they would have...
sorry.
Losing my voice a little bit. No, I think that's very much the case. But the reality was that there wasn't really a huge amount of animosity between the Native Americans and the settlers, particularly. In fact, they would trade. They would do a lot of trade with the settlers and vice versa. I think obviously there was problems, but I think there's a perception that the Native Americans would raid a town and then the settlers would go out and kill.
But in reality, particularly like that. But in reality, if anything, the settlers have come across this land and taken over.
Yeah, they've taken it.
So really, they're just, if I raid the town, they just take it back,
No, but it wasn't that. And really, the main problems for the Native Americans from the literature I've read was from more to do with the army, so from the Civil War as well, and then and the government. It was the government that were pushing and taking areas, and more recently, or it's still a long while ago now, but you'd have the FBI you know, and people like that, even those sort of organisations, because obviously you've got Native Americans living in reservations now. Specifically, I mean, it's horrific when you think about the fact they've been squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and now live in these particular areas. I mean, if you in any other culture, that wouldn't be acceptable, would it?
No,
it's
not
not
at all.
acceptable. If we had that in this country, and you decided a particular culture within all, and we say, pardon,
Don't worry.
a particular culture. Sorry, I was slightly distracted there. There's no way we'd be able to do that. There's no way that would be acceptable. But anyway, let's talk about some of the myths really around what happens. You know, if you looked at the Westerns, if you looked at Hollywood's version, there'd be gunfights. You know, you talked about the Native Americans and the cowboys shooting each other, you know, and fighting all the time. You'd think that was all what went on. That very rarely happens. You know, basically, you were more likely to die of, and you said that earlier as well, tuberculosis, cholera, because of the you know, until more recent times that you know, there was no sanitation.
Yeah.
People would die. A huge amount of people suffered from sexually transmitted diseases as well, and obviously that would be a point where that would kill people as well.
And in my experience, also alligators.
Yep,
from Red Dead Redemption 2, got killed by them a few times, and bears.
Oh right, I suppose there would have been a few.
Wolves.
Well,
And
I read
occasionally
something.
a deer.
I read something.
Dear.
There were fewer bank robberies in the Wild West than in present day America.
Well, there's less banks.
Well, I guess so. But you would think every day a stagecoach would be held up, you know,
Well, less
Wells
stagecoaches.
Fargo and yes, but the equivalent of what would have been a stagecoach. And
That one doesn't surprise me because you can do bank robberies nowadays online.
that's very true. I suppose that is it. It wasn't as lawless. Let's put it that way. It wasn't as lawless as it's made out to be. The things we remember from the films, it's like gunslingers and all the rest of it. People standing in the middle of a street in a town, and one at one end and one at the other end, and they're, you know, quick draw. That just didn't happen. If it did happen, it happened very, very rarely.
Plus,
and you know, they're not going to do that. They're just going to shoot each other.
So another thing, I want to go back on the bank robberies as well, because in reality, if you want to get away from a situation nowadays, you jump in a car, and yeah, they can shoot at your tyres or something like that, or something can happen. But back then, you just shoot the horse.
If you particularly wanted to
Stop them.
disable someone as such, it would stop them, and in order for you to be able to do whatever you wanted to do next with them.
Like lasso them and tie them up in a hog tie and then put them on the back of your horse.
Yeah, which probably never happened either. But, you know, it may have. We don't know. Again, Hollywood, it's going to do that. It's going to glamorise it. What's the point? It's like us saying something like, you're watching EastEnders, and then it's an episode of EastEnders where the character you're looking at decides to have an early night, a bath and an early night, and, you know, wants to have a bit of a me time. Or Corey, if they're sitting there...
That does happen, but then normally what happens is someone breaks in whilst they're
runs
in the
and beats
bath
them up,
and tries to drown them or something.
Yeah, it's true. Or Corey, got someone standing there and then they go, oh, no, I'm not going to be at the pub tonight, I'm going to go and read a book. That's what, in reality, things
and then they
happen.
Get murdered.
Yes, they get a huge paper cut and no one knows that it happened.
And they bleed out.
They didn't wear Stetsons until a lot later on. You're more likely to find cowboys wearing bowler hats than what you'd think, these 10-gallon hats, these Stetsons.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy who invented a Stetson, Mr. Stetson, I think he did that very late in that sort of period. So it was more... They started doing Wild West shows, you know, Buffalo Bill and all this sort of thing. And you'd have sharpshooters in there, you'd have people... riding the horses, doing all tricks and all the rest of it. It started becoming more of almost more gimmicky. It was taking all those elements out and thinking, actually, this is sellable. This is something people are going to want to watch. And they were huge, those shows. And I believe I read somewhere that even a coronation, it might have been sort of Victoria or something along those lines. There was Buffalo Bill did a show for that, that she saw, which seems bizarre. It starts tying in, because you got to think, and I think that's something that I always find confusing. That time period. So some of the big names, people like Jesse James,
I think you can say Jessie J then.
Billy the Kid, and people like that.
She's pregnant.
You're talking about, yeah, I know, I saw that. You're talking about 1830 to the 1900s, right? So that's that period where you all these names that you're aware of, the people that are famous, these gunslingers, these lawmen, and all the rest of it. But in England at that time, at the equivalent time period, it was very different. It wasn't like that at all. Just the nature of the terrain and everything else, But it's at the same time as that, So you look at your pictures back in this country of that period of time, and you think, well, actually, in my mind, I think of and in inverted commas, cowboys and Indians being way, way back. But of course, it was just that it was on a different continent, and it was in a different environment.
And let's bear in mind that the USA is such a massive country that you could have somewhere that's really advanced, but somewhere that's not quite as advanced because it's a bit more spread out and stuff like that.
Right. Did you know?
No.
That saloon doors. So when you think about
I wonder if Andrew's wearing his cowboy boots whilst he listens to this.
I hope so. In fact, I might suggest he does that just to get the full benefit of
it. If he's listening to this now, he's to pause it, go and find his cowboy boots.
Well, it'd make it more immersive, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if he could saddle up something and just sit on it, of his choice, then that would be good as well.
Diablo,
yeah. Saloon doors. There's this image of saloon doors when you watch westerns where they flap open and shut and all that. And people used to even have them in houses.
And barbers.
Yeah, places like that. Didn't really have them. They might have had them, but they would have a solid, normal door at the front. They wouldn't have They wouldn't have these little flappy things.
No, because it keep stop the wind.
What?
Wind would get in.
Wind. I just thought you'd shout out wind.
And rain.
Did you know, I should say,
thank you,
you would find camels roaming about the plains, and quite a considerable number of camels roaming about the plains. What do you mean it might make sense?
Oh, it's like a desert. And like,
yeah,
not
but
desert, not all of it, but some of it.
Where would they come from? They're not from that continent, are they? I'll tell you where they come from. The US...
But they've got camels on one of the parties thing, haven't they?
On one of what?
They've got the Republicans, which isn't that elephant on it, and what's the other one?
Are you talking about
the two US parties?
The Democrats and the Republicans.
Doesn't one of them have a camel on its as its symbol?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway,
right, you can look that up. But basically, because of the terrain, exactly what you're talking about, they imported a load of camels, the army, because they thought they'd be able to get, and the forces, to get around that area.
It's a donkey.
Oh, right, okay. Nearly then. It's like a bigger donkey with a hump. So basically, they thought that would be really good, but in the end, they didn't really use them, so they ended up releasing them. So you'd have these feral camels just wandering about.
Going through bins.
Don't see them in the movies, do you? What do you reckon the average lifespan was?
36.
If you get it in within 6 months, I'll give you a thumbs up. So 36. 35 years was the average lifespan.
You changed it.
I did not change it.
You weren't going to say 6 months until I said 36.
No. What are you talking about?
35 months. 35 years, sorry.
35 years.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But that was, again, it wasn't because people were getting shot regularly. It's because...
TB.
It was because of disease. It was because of the they hadn't got the advances we've got now with medical, anything medical.
You'd have someone who's an old man who actually was just 40.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'd be long
ancient.
gone, and you'd be well on your way to. You'd be sort of middle aged to.
I'd be
old
like,
age.
if you haven't got a kid yet, that's a problem.
Yeah, maybe, because they're probably having them when they were about
16.
16. Let's say that, because it doesn't sound so bad. The food. Now, I think of a cowboy tea. Have you ever had a cowboy tea? Have we made you a cowboy tea?
Fire video game.
Video game.
Yep.
What then?
You said computer game earlier, by the way.
Computer game. Sorry. What would it be then?
Just vegetables and whatever, just meat you can find.
All right, because cowboy tea, when we're doing like beans, it'd be sausages and things like that. It'd be basically a fry
I've never
up.
heard of that.
Right, but they would eat when they were on the trail as well, and because obviously they spent a lot of time, especially if they had cattle and such like. Beans, hard biscuits, which I believe are sort of
Tinned biscuits.
Do you reckon tin biscuit, dried meat, dried fruit, anything they could probably have on the go and it wouldn't perish? But other than that, they probably eat quite normally. I should imagine. Yeah, bourbon. They're in the saloons.
Not bourbon biscuits.
Not bourbon biscuits. In the saloons, by the
Much
way,
better
there
than
was
bourbon.
quite a lot of. So people would drink. There was a huge amount of card games. That was the thing. A lot of people.
Blackjack.
Yeah, and that caused a lot of the trouble. But you'd have a lot of prostitutes within those saloons as well. But they weren't, they were quite well off. They weren't sort of downtrodden. They were in charge of their own destiny. It didn't seem to be quite as they were there. That was what happened,
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's caused a lot of other problems. Just
Such
a
as
couple of other little bits
Sexually
before we
transmitted
finish.
illnesses like we spoke about earlier.
Exactly, that's what I was alluding to. Billy the Kid, quite famous. Did you know, on his way to the gallows, Billy the Kid asked, could he use the toilet? Could he go to the outhouse? Right? They let him. He overcame his captor and rode off out of town.
Nice.
Nice. Bit of distraction there. Did you know...
What's the point of him going to the toilet, though? If he's about to die, well, he won't need it soon.
Well, maybe, but perhaps he just said, I just want to be comfortable, Did you know Wild Bill Hickok took out a man who allegedly called him Duck Bill because of his pointy nose? Now, when I say he took out a man, he didn't take him,
On a date.
for some hard biscuits and some beans. He actually shot the bloke and killed him just because he called him Duck Bill. Some people are really sensitive, aren't they?
Yeah. Forehead, face.
Big hair.
I wish there was a song about the Wild West that I could sing along with you.
I'm
once
here
I've heard it.
Right, I'm here to grant that wish. I have unfortunately not really gone down the true life route of the Wild West. I've probably gone a little bit more to what we talked about at the beginning in the Hollywood side of it, but not even that. It's probably best you just play my song, and the song is called The Ballad of Rattlesnake Rock.
There is a town called Rattlesnake Rock, whose population is due to drop. There's a general store and an old saloon, and it's overseen by Sheriff Bob Muldoon. A stranger arrived in the town one day. Where he came from, no one could say. His clothes were dusty, but his boots were clean. He clearly wiped them down with some Mr. Sheen. Mr. Sheen. Now the sheriff didn't like the look of this man. His clothes all disheveled, but his boots spick and span. Something wasn't right with this odd-looking stranger, and Sheriff Muldoon sensed impending danger. Big Bad Bob. So he challenged a stranger to a game of quick draw. And they faced one another in line with the law. Their hands were twitching and their eyes cold as steel, as they stared at each other with looks that could kill. The stranger drew first and his hand was a blur as he scribbled and he shaded a likeness to sure. The sheriff was next and showed a steady hand as he transformed the lines into a pic of Joe Brand.
Big Joe Brand.
Now the pictures were displayed for all to see. The townsfolk stood and pondered who the winner would be. Would it be the stranger with his shiny shoes? It was time to choose who would win and who would surely lose.
Win or lose.
In the end it was the sheriff who won this game, and the stranger saddled up and went on his way. But many still remember this mystery man, especially old McVitie, who was an epic sheriff fan. Yeah, he liked that shirt. He even dressed up as her on a bank holiday Monday. What a guy.
Game time.
So that was exactly what I was looking for in a song that
I'm
I could
glad I
sing
could,
with you whilst doing stuff around the house.
Okay, that's lovely. Will.
About the Wild West.
About the Wild West.
That's preferably a song that you wrote.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was good. I enjoyed it.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it.
I want to play a game.
Do you want to play a game? Well, obviously it is game time, or is that what we call it?
Yep.
Yep.
Didn't you just hear this thing?
Yes. So I've got a quiz. I've got a
quiz?
quiz about the Wild
We're
West.
back to quizzes.
In fact, it's called, and I'm quite pleased with this,
We had a week off from quizzes. We're back.
Quiz Night at the OK Corral. Which, when I told you that and said, oh, I like that, you said, what is it then? Because you'd never heard of Gunfight at the OK Corral, had you?
Still haven't.
No.
'Cause I
well, you
forgot.
have, because
I
like,
forgot
I've
what
just
the
said it
reference
again.
was.
Anyway, are you ready for this quiz? Play my sting.
Howdy, partner, it's time for a game. I hope you're quick on the draw. If you are, come and join us in the old saloon. If you're not, I'll show you the door. Are you a wired up or a wired twerp? We'll soon be finding out which. It's the difference between eternal glory or being found dead in a ditch.
Nice sting.
Thanks.
Onwards with the quiz.
Onwards with the quiz. Question 1. Hungarian-born prostitute, Big Nose Kate, don't know if that's her actual name, was the wife of which infamous Wild West
Hang on.
legend?
Don't know if that's her real name, so this could be anyone. That's a
No,
prostitute.
that's what they called her, Big Nose Kate.
Oh, you don't know if that was her first name
I
or
think
surname?
probably...
Big
I don't
Nose was her
think-
title.
Yeah, Kate something it probably was. So Hungarian-born prostitute, Big Nose Kate, was the wife of which infamous Wild West legend? Was it A, Doc Holliday? Was it B, Nurse Vacation? Or was it C, Sister City Break?
Wow.
I started you off with an hard one.
Yeah, because I thought Doc Holiday might be someone removing someone's holiday. And because it's such a good one, like it actually sounds like an actual sentence, I'm going to say it's Doc Holiday.
It is Doc Holliday. Well
Because
done.
you're not that smart.
Oh, thanks very much.
You probably didn't even notice it sounds like someone removing someone's holiday.
No. Question 2, NJ favourite, John Wayne, was a giant in Western films, But this all-American tough guy was born with a rather less rugged name. But what was it? Was John Wayne actually called A. Janet Richard Malcolm, B. Marion Robert Morrison, or C. Alison Raymond Montgomery?
Say B again.
B. Marion Robert Morrison.
Say C again.
Alison Raymond Montgomery.
It's one of those two. B.
B. Marion Robert Morrison.
No, C.
Alison Raymond Montgomery.
Yes, please.
I'm afraid it was B. And my mic's slipping again. It was B. Marion Robert Morrison. You should have gone with your first answer.
Oh, you gave me a look.
Oh, look. The look. Question 3.
You won't believe the look this Christmas.
Who were Robert Leroy Parker and Harry Alonzo Longabout better known as? Were they known as A. David Cassidy and the Sunshine Gang, B. Bob Charity and the Part-Time Prince, or C. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
That is correct. Well done, Connor. Question 4. What was the go-to gun for lawmen, outlaws and the army in the Wild West years? Was it A. Colt single-action revolver? Was it B. Lamat revolver? Or was it C. Commander RD6?
Colt single-action revolver.
It was the Colt single-action revolver. Well done.
Thank you.
Better known as the six-shooter.
Yeah,
The
barrel of
Lamat
six.
revolver was another one from that time, but not more popular than that. And the Commander RD6 is a Nerf gun. Currently, you can get off Amazon.
That's where you found it.
Yep. Question 5. Which of these was a Native American leader who co-founded the Iroquois Confederacy?
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, it might not be pronounced like that. Which brought together 5 Native American tribes? Was it A. Higher Purchase? Was it B. Higher Ground? Or was it C. Higher Waffer? Oh dear.
I thought you were going to go with higher purchase and then PCP and purchase whatever.
No. Was it Higher Purchase, Higher Ground, or Higher Waffer?
Is it higher offer moccasins?
It was. Oh, I forgot I did that.
You did
right
a
at the
song
beginning
about it. Yeah.
Ah.
Higher offer moccasins.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have got that.
Big on.
I can't even remember it now.
Something little on price. What's moccasins?
Moccasins. What are they?
Yeah.
Shoes.
All right. Big on style, little on price or something.
Oh, I can't remember. I'm going to have
Higher
to go
offer
back.
moccasins.
In which... Question 6, sorry, just in case you were counting. In which infamous battle was General Custer defeated? Was it...
General Custard. Cluedo.
Was it A...
Ah, it's Colonel Custard.
the gun...
Colonel Mustard. Sorry.
Was it A, the gunfight at the OK Corral? Was it B, the Battle of Little Bighorn? Or was it C, the skirmish at Big Little Trouble?
You enjoyed that one?
Which one was it?
I don't know any of those.
We just talked about the...
Yeah, I'm going to go with the OK Corral because it's the only one I've heard of because it's the name of this particular
quiz.
It's
in fact B, the Battle of Little Bighorn. Question 7. Yes, this is a learning thing for you as well. You know, this
generally
a
someone
quiz.
teaches you these things before you then have to be quizzed on them.
Yeah, but yeah, if you go to a quiz night, you don't get sent the all the documents and everything beforehand so that you can gen up on it all, do you? Question 7. We have already mentioned him once, but Doc Holliday, born John Henry Holliday was a gambler, gunfighter, and which other of these professions? Was he...
Professions.
Yeah, that's what I said, professions.
As in gambler was a profession.
Well, yeah. Well, it is now. Was he A, a doctor? Was he B, a dentist? Or was he C, a hairdresser?
A hairdresser.
He was B, a dentist.
I thought it might have been messy.
Because he was an actual doctor, but it was a dentist doctor, not a doctor.
No, but I thought maybe, it might have gone.
He thought I'd thrown it in there, yeah. Question 8. Jesse James was feared. Jesse James was... Oh, yeah, I've heard that. Heard that rumour. I started it. Jesse James was feared throughout the Wild West due to him raiding trains, stagecoaches and banks and being a very violent man. But what was his nickname? Was his nickname A, Dingus? Was his nickname B, Fungus? Or was his nickname C, Doofus?
Doofus.
It was Dingus. And he was nicknamed Dingus because I think at one stage, I'm trying to remember this, I think he was mucking about with a knife and cut off the top of his fingers. And so he should have been called Fingus, shouldn't he? No,
Fingerless.
And his family called him that. And it was something to do Dingus, but Dingus lost his fingers. Something along those lines. I might have just made
lost
that
his fingers.
Question 9, the penultimate question, kind of. Before he became leader of
Is question 10 a load of A, B, C, D? Yeah, okay.
Question 9. Before he became leader of the Apache, Geronimo used an unusual method to attack his armed enemies.
Is that like Apache helicopter?
Did he? A. Burrow through the dirt and sand, pop up behind his enemies and slit their throats? Did he dress up as a cactus and sneak up on his foes? Or did he C, run in an erratic zigzag pattern so that all the bullets fired missed him?
C.
It was C.
Yeah, that's actually a method of making sure that you're
Is
not
it?
shot. Yeah.
Well, but
If
before
you're less likely to be shot if you run in a zigzag.
Before he started using rifles themselves, because obviously the Native Americans wouldn't have had any firearms until they were traded them by the settlers. That's how he used to do it, and he was incredibly good at it. He used to run all zig. It must have been really strange to look at, but they'd fire at him, but he'd run all over the place and all up and down and no fixed pattern, and he'd get to him and then kill him. Oh, I didn't think you were going to get that one.
No, it's genuinely what people do. And in video games as well, you run like this to try and avoid getting shot.
Run like that?
Yeah. Oh. Really good for a podcast, wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it? Okay, so here we go. Question 10. I've got a list of these names. I need you to tell me whether they were a Wild West legend or other.
Okay.
I mean, they might have existed, but they might not have been
a Wild West legend.
Okay, we're going to start off with A, because I've done them in letter form now.
So we've had A, B, C, and D. A, B, C questions, and now we've got A.
Yeah.
Question A.
Well, no, I'm just going to say the name. You've got to say, all right, don't pull apart me quiz, for goodness sake.
I.
Which of the following are real legends of the Wild West and which are not? Pat Garrett.
Yes.
Yes, he was a lawman, bartender and customs agent.
Custard agent.
What about B? Disastrous Daisy.
No.
No, I made that up because there was a Calamity Jane, but there was no Disastrous Daisy. C. Pawnee Bill.
Yes.
Yes, he was. He was an American showman and performer, part of Buffalo Bill show, I think. What about D? Buffalo Barry.
No.
No, because we had to say it was Buffalo Bill, because I just said it.
Yep.
What about E? Fanny Porter.
Yes.
Yes, she was a madam and a prostitute. And as far as I know, that was actually her name. And that wasn't just a nickname she had.
Fanny. A lot of people been called Fanny in the past.
Well, if you're a madam and your name's Fanny Porter, that just sounds like it was meant to happen.
Americans
she
don't
had
call
no
it
other
Fanny, though, do they?
Yeah, that's
bum.
true, yeah. Okay. F. Buford Mad Dog Tannen.
Yes.
No.
First one wrong.
It was Back to the Future 3. What about G? Makhipia Shah.
Yes.
No, I put my details into an app and got that out. By the way, your Ianosa, you'll come out as. What about H? Johnny Ringo.
Yes.
Yes, he was a gunfighter. What about I? Johnny Finger.
No.
No, you're right. Sid James played him in Carry On Cowboy. What about J? Jimmy the Spoon.
Yes.
No, I made that up. Right. What about K? John Wesley Harding.
Yes.
Yes, he was an outlaw gunfighter and rather bizarrely controversial folk icon. Right, but yeah, Harding without a G, not Harding without an H like we are. What about L? Runs with wolves.
What?
What about L? Runs with wolves.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a Native American. What about M? Runs with scissors.
No.
No, you're right. But you should never run with scissors.
Yeah, that's true.
N, rusty nails.
I like the fact that we've just made it a safety podcast now.
Yes, no, it's always
your
important.
safety's coming about.
N, rusty nails.
Yeah.
No. O, mumble saddlebags.
No.
No. What about P, high water bill?
No.
Yes. It was William H. High Water Bill Moorhead, and he was a sheriff.
Is he?
So that was his nickname, High Water Bill.
Is he back?
That
by
was
the way?
before people had bills for. Huh?
Is he back now? Because there's now high water bills
because
again.
everybody's
Cost of living.
Okay.
Wow.
Q, Slewfoot Sue.
No.
No, it was a cartoon, Melody Time, a Disney cartoon. She was a cowgirl in it. And the last one are Black Kettle.
Yes.
Yep. Cheyenne Chief. Well done, Connor.
I'm surprised you didn't do 26 of them.
Why would I do 26?
You made it quite a way through the alphabet.
I did, really. In fact, I added a few more. I had a few in there because I kept looking and counting them. I'm thinking, no, that doesn't sound like a right number. I think I've done 18 there. And that's the end of my little Wild West quiz.
Good. And actually, one thing I will say is normally if there was alliteration in there, I knew it was probably fake.
Yeah, because I've tried too hard.
Yeah, you go for disastrous
Yeah, that was a bit, Daisy.
Daisy, yeah, and I was thinking...
Yeah, that's
yeah,
not
that's
right.
a bit, yeah.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah?
We'll end there. Have we had any massages?
No, but we had a message.
Right, okay.
We actually had a message as an audio message to play.
Okay. So we're going to play the audio message,
No.
aren't we? No, we're not, no?
No, now we are.
Who's it for? From?
It's for
It's
us.
for us, yes.
Yep.
Who's it from?
It is from Annie.
Ah,
So my sister.
my daughter.
Yes.
One of my daughters.
Yes.
Although they are both called Annie. To make it easier. As are you.
Yes. Right, let's give it a play.
A message for father and son. Listening to your year in review episode, and Connor, you've missed out that I lovingly took you to go and see Rob Beckett at the end of May, and you were scared that I was going to go into labour. I'm a bit offended that you've missed that out. Apart from that, love the episode. Keep it going, guys.
She was clearly multitasking there and very
She was clearly
busy.
multitasking as a new mum, doing a wonderful job
Yeah.
there.
Here all the cars going past.
I remember that. Probably
Yeah,
not
so-
as clearly as you remember it, but
So just going back, this is referring to our episode 2022 in review, where we had a look at all that happened during 2022. And she is right. I did miss out the fact that we went to Rob Beckett. And the reason I missed it out is because I didn't take a photo of my phone. However, we did go see the Rob Beckett. It was amazing. I was terrified.
Because she was laughing so much.
Because Annie was heavily pregnant. And actually, to be fair, she still had like a month or something.
Yeah, but she didn't know that at the time, no.
But, but in fairness
to
for
her, her due date?
Even for her due date. But if you ever met my nephew, he's massive.
Massive?
Like,
they call him
really,
Big Dave.
He's really cute. And you're little Dave.
Yep.
No, he's really cute. I love him. I love him to pieces. But he's really big. And I think the difference is, I guess, he's just on the larger end. Yeah, he's not massive. He's just on the larger end. But Annie is particularly small.
Yeah.
So she...
Petite. I think they like to be called small people. Oh,
your mic's falling
Mic's
again.
Going again.
No, but she had this big old belly, which
big old mum belly
David lived in. We were watching Rob Beckett, and she was all right for the first half, and she was laughing, and in the second half, she was leaning her hands, and hands were on her knees, and she was going.
Yeah, I can see how that might be a little bit stressful.
And I turn around and look at her, and she's frowning. She goes, "Oh, I'm just uncomfortable." I'm like, "Oh my god, my sister's about to give birth at a Rob Beckett show, and no one else is here but me and her."
Oh well, and everybody else,
everyone else in the audience,
and you can guarantee there'd be midwives there, and
and Rob Beckett.
Rob Beckett, he's had kids.
Catch it, yeah, he's had kids, and we're right near the top. So, to be fair, if she shot that far, it'd be quite an impressive shot, all the way to the stage. But and I just had this like panic. It would be a good story for Rob Beckett, but it would
be rather traumatic.
Did
I think
get
so
rather
you do get traumatized
worried
by these sort of things. Yeah.
It wasn't so much. I wasn't worried about it. But I was thinking, well, this is a really awkward time.
Yeah, I think
I'm enjoying this.
I think I will probably
Dave,
be
stay in.
Quite.
I'll push him back up until the show's
stressed. But yeah. But yes,
she was. She was really quite
uncomfortable
at the time as well. Like, as in, that was getting towards the end of the pregnancy.
You've been chastised. You should have included that in the. It should have been imprinted in your mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she said she likes the podcast, and she really, in a really joyous way, said, "Keep it up."
Yes.
Right at the end, she went, "Love it. Keep it up."
Yeah, but she was walking along at the time. So
with all these cars going around her.
Yes.
You could hear. We have had. There's still the message that you've got to share at some point. You sharing that today or another time?
I'll share it today if you think you can handle it.
I don't know that I can because I've been told.
I'm kind of enjoying the fact that you really are struggling with it and it could come at any point.
I've just been told it's gross.
It is gross.
I'm going to find it gross.
Well, I don't think it's that gross, but it's just a natural thing.
I've been told I have to hear it at the end of the podcast because I might be sick.
Yeah, it's because you might. If I did it at the beginning, I don't think you'd say much for the rest of the thing. It's only because of the way you are, is because you have some sort of issues with this sort of stuff anyway. So that's why we just thought it was quite funny.
Right. What is it?
Okay. Well,
does it involve Annie again?
No. Well, it involves Big Dave.
Yeah.
Well, Big Dave was sitting on me and pinning me to the. No, I was sitting there with my grandson David, and as he just had a feed and everything. So, as you know, babies sort of do things and it comes out of different places and all the rest of it. Well, while I was holding David, he was sick, right? And he was just like baby sick, just the way babies are. Now, it doesn't freak me out.
Where was this?
I was up at Annie and Chris's.
Okay. Sitting
on their sofa. It was the morning. And he was sick on my hand. And Annie went, oh, and I said, don't worry about it. And I've just got the muzz and I just sort of wiped the worst of it off and I held on to him and she cleaned him up a bit and I just had him. And I said to her, that's all right, I'll sort it out in a second. I said, it doesn't freak me out. Then I forgot about it and she brought me in a bacon sandwich.
Oh.
and I ate the bacon sandwich with my hand that it was on, right? And afterwards I said to her, I just realised I didn't wash my hands after that. But look, it's all natural.
Oh, that's
Which is
gross.
one of the things. But we thought it might be something that you'd find quite traumatic. So I've been.
I love him to pieces, but I wash my hands every time I touch him.
No,
I wash my hands every time I touch Becky as well, to be fair.
I must say, the bacon sandwich was absolutely fine. It didn't tarnish it whatsoever.
It's mainly because he's got his hand in his mouth most of the time. That's why I wash my hands.
Yeah, fair enough.
I stroke
But
him, I
that-
touch him, I let him play with my hands, but then I wash my hands afterwards.
Well, it's always a good idea before you hold it anyway.
But
before.
I got made. But Annie told me off because I washed my hands after touching him, not before.
Yeah, I think that makes people find that like perhaps a little bit insulting. But beforehand, but in this day and age, perhaps we all should be doing that all the time anyway.
Yeah, don't know if he's got COVID.
Oh, don't. Anyway,
That's disgusting. That's actually horrendous. I'm put off bacon sandwiches.
great. More bacon for David. That's
What,
little
Big David?
Oh. Right. So if that's that, I think there's only one word we need to say now, don't we? Oh, next week. Do we want to say what we're
Yeah.
doing next week? So next week we're going to be talking about the wonders of the world.
Yes. And if you do want everyone to send us a message, you can do so via the website, the Contact Us page, fatherandsundays.com, or send us an email at contactus@fatherandsundays.com. Website, all the episodes available there, but you can also get them on the chosen podcast platform. Like, share, and follow us on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye!